Welcome to the show, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. I am JJ Flazanes.
And I am thankful for JJ Flazanes. I'm thankful for my mother. I'm thankful for kitty cats. I'm thankful for my puppy dogs. I'm thankful for my ex-wives. I'm thankful for my kids. I'm thankful for so many things in my life that have led me right here, right now. I am Doug Sandler. Welcome back, everybody. Let's do this.
Wow.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Wow, babe.
Whoop, whoop.
That was like a running start into a sprint, into a jump with your arm up in the air like Judd Nelson in Breakfast Club.
Wow.
You were like, boom.
You just aged yourself to 1980-something. Ali Sheedy and who else was in that movie?
I was pretty young. We'll just say that.
Oh,
Okay.
I wasn't.
Well, I was. Okay. And don't forget there are reruns.
Oh, that is true. That is very true. That was the start of many a career. I mean, Emilio
Absolutely.
Estevez was in there, and Judd Nelson was in there. Judd Nelson, yeah,
Yes.
right. Ali Sheedy, Molly Ringwald. Wow, this was good. This was good.
So, this is not a movie podcast today. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, for those of you that are hearing it on the day or the day after or the weekend or maybe Black Friday. Maybe you're shopping right now and
Wow.
you're listening to a podcast as you're driving to 4 a.m., stand in line
Gobble.
or get into your we will not be participating in Black Friday.
No. I don't even like shopping. I actually don't even like leaving my house that
Right,
much.
I don't either. I know. You know what? I just discovered Instagram shopping for food. Oh my God. And I need to know this because eventually I will have a product which you will be able to buy on Instagram. And I needed to know how that checkout process worked, how
Whoa.
smoothly, how it took less than 5 minutes. And next thing you know, I'm being shipped a product that I want and I didn't have to leave my bed. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
This is all good stuff. I
So-
love this. So many things that we have learned this year. That is what I am thankful for. All of the things that I have learned this year.
Today's show is really going to be about appreciation and gratitude and obviously the spirit in which I like to celebrate Thanksgiving.
And
which
it is sponsored by A Christmas Miracle, Charlie Brown, which will be coming up. Can you believe how early we go into? It's just before Thanksgiving here, and we're walking into Home Goods, and the entire store is decked out in Christmas decorations. I'm like, one holiday at a time. It's kind of like in August when Starbucks already starts to promote pumpkin spice anything. It's too early. It's too early.
Well, it's really not though. I mean, I love pumpkin, and pumpkin is only a fall food, and we really don't make pumpkin after the fall.
Okay,
Nobody
but
makes
it's
pumpkin in
August. Can it
January.
just be dumped on us in like September, which really is the official start of fall, rather than August something?
Well, depending on where you live in the country or in the world, I like pumpkin things when it starts to be cool, and of course it's been really hot here, so
it was
doesn't
82
feel-
yesterday. What are you talking about? 82 and sunny here in Southern California. I'm pretty sure we are suffering from global warming.
Okay, we're not going to go down that path. But anyhow, so let's focus on what I wanted to talk about today on today's show. First of all, thank you. Thank you for downloading today's show.
Thank you.
But really, thank you. Thank
no,
you for...
really, thank you. I am
But-
so excited. My son and my mom and her boyfriend are coming to California. That is totally cool, and they wouldn't be doing that unless I lived here. So this is good. It's amazing. So I
Right.
feel like they're doing this for me,
They
and
just-
my niece is here too, and she's coming too.
Yeah, it's
How
going to be
cool.
great. And I wanted to not just be appreciative and thank all of you for listening to the show, subscribing to the show, downloading the show, sharing the show. I wanted to go over like the power of appreciation, the power of gratitude. And there's been an article I passed around last week by the time this show airs, which was literally the neuroscience of how gratitude can shape your brain and how meditation reshapes your brain. And for those of you that came to the Manifestation Bootcamp, or for some of you who are on any one of my latest webinars, I explain the science of the brain and how we actually create new neural pathways to experience joy, love, and all the things that we want. It's actually there's a scientific way of experiencing that. So this isn't just, again, not a belief. It's actually science. And so I wanted to have this conversation with you and with Doug about the power of appreciation, the power of gratitude, and sort of the way that we have manifested, the way that we have experienced life in the last year or a little bit longer with some of the practices that we do, and wanting to inspire you to continue doing yours or start some. So, Doug, let's start out with prior to knowing me, did you do any kind of regimented, regular appreciation, gratitude practice?
It's funny you say that, because I would call what I did not an appreciation practice, but I don't know if you know, I mean, I know you know, JJ, but those in our community may not know. I wrote a book in 2015 called Nice Guys Finish First. And one of the principles of being a nice guy is catching people in the act. And instead of in the act of doing something wrong, it's catch them in the act of doing something right and expressing that to them. Because what I had found in the environment that I was in, and I've worked in inside an agency, and it's a talent agency where I was one of the acts in the agency, so I really didn't have to be there, but I was there on a regular basis. And they probably have 20, 25 employees on any given basis, any given day. And what would happen is I'd walk in there, and it was a negative attitude, a really challenging attitude. Like the attitude of the office was just not very bright. Not bright as in smart, but bright as in happy. And so I would go in there with the attitude of, I know that there is a way to transform the people in this office to positive thinking people. And I would catch people in the act of doing something right. Meaning I would walk up to them as they were doing something right and say, hey, that's really cool. I love how you do that. Can you show me how to do that? Or maybe that would be something that John over at the other desk could benefit from. Could you show him how to do that? Because I think this is a great practice. And what I found was the times that I was in the office after doing that a few times, not like hundreds of times, like literally after a handful of times, people would gravitate towards me to try to have me, without them saying, I want you to find me doing something right. They were looking for me to show them something that they were doing right, because they got a positive kick, a positive boost out of the energy that brought to them. And so one of the principles I put in my book, Nice Guys Finish First, was the ability to find some people, catch them in the act of doing something right. So I would call that my form, prior to knowing you, my rampage of appreciation, but it was not like a huge dose of 4 minutes at a time. It was more of a conversation about something that somebody was doing.
That's interesting. And I like that, catching them in the act of. And I also think that the ones that probably were gravitating towards you were the ones who also shared your same love language, which is words of affirmation, because they really received when you acknowledged them. That really made a difference for them. And so then they probably saw you coming and thought, oh, he's going to give me a dose of love again.
Well, and it didn't necessarily, and this was even before I knew love languages, but looking back, now that you're saying that, it was they would recognize whatever their love language was in the words or actions that I did. So, for example, if I would walk up to somebody that I heard saying something positively on the phone, they would appreciate that much more than somebody whose love language was acts of service. And when they did something right on the computer and showed something, and I would point that out, they would try to do more of that. So you're 100% right. That was exactly what they were doing. But I never really thought about that until just now, because I'm thinking about the love languages of the people in my office, and it's easy for me to determine what those are at this point.
Okay, so you did that practice. Was there anything you did by yourself for yourself?
I think that I tend to be a really positive person. I think I've always been that way. I think that when times were challenging, I would put some positive thoughts into my head to say, this is just a matter of time before I come out of this. I've always been a money magnet, I would say, money manifester. So I've always been in a position where that I would make a sale even when there was no potential sale to be made, because I knew it was just a matter of time. It might not have been with that person I was talking to, but I never let the negativity get me down. And I've always been that way in sales as well. So that kind of puts me in a different level than I think a lot of people that take everything personally when they don't make a sale, or they're not successful on the tail end of a project. I know it's just a matter of time before that positivity is going to come back my way. So again, that was my methodology behind having positive vibration, being at a different frequency, but I never realized what that was at the time. I would just do it because that's the kind of person that I am.
So now, Doug Sandler, what practices do you have now?
Okay, so the practice, I mean, there's so many that I have. Number one, we practice our rampage of appreciation. I never knew it was called that, but we do the appreciation game all the time. We call it that. We'll be lying in bed and we'll have a 5-minute back and forth just of how much we appreciate each other. And, that really is a great way to go to bed. It really is a way to further the connection between us in our relationship. That would be one way that I show appreciation. So is the question, are there other things that I do?
Yeah, other appreciation practices that you do.
I don't know. I mean, I'm probably missing a handful of them. What else do I do? Or maybe just get me started and I'll roll down the hill with you.
Well, our Monday, Wednesday practice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we do journaling every Monday and Wednesday. Absolutely. We go exercise. I mean, these are ways that we appreciate each other and we appreciate ourselves as well. The visualization when we're doing our journaling is amazing because we get to a point where we are actually writing down the things that we want, the things that we know that we're going to have, and we actually speak about them as though they already happened. So for me, I'm already there. I already feel it. It's not if this is going to happen, it's just when it's going to happen. It may be, and we haven't talked about this publicly yet, but there's been a bunch of things that on a very high level we thought were going to happen for us with business relationships and things. And although those things have not rolled and come into play, other things have come in to replace them because we're at that frequency of ready to receive those things. We don't know, just like with your ex, you didn't know that you weren't going to get those things from your husband, your ex-husband. You just thought that's your path of least resistance. That's where you thought you were going to get all those positive things. You didn't know that it was going to come from a completely different person, those exact things that you wanted. So for me, yes, I could get disappointed and say, I can't believe those guys, these other people that we were going to have these relationships with, I can't believe those guys didn't come through. When the reality is there's a ton of stuff that's on the horizon for us, and so much of it is extremely positive.
Let's talk about that for a second because we did announce it in May. We did talk about the relationship, and I'm not going to necessarily go back to call out that relationship, but let's just say, and the lesson here is, what do you do about getting attached to a certain outcome? And this was asked of me on a podcast recently. And, when you have, and we were quite attached, but we were attached to the outcome because of what the outcome promised us and we believed and bought into. Mm-hmm. And again, by the way, things have a way of working themselves out in terms of timing. Even though you may, and everyone involved definitely had the best of intentions.
Correct.
To follow through with
right.
all of the desires and the goals that we had, sometimes life takes a different direction for a different reason.
Oh, and
because it's not the right time.
I'm not blaming them for this not happening. I think it's just a matter of maybe the timing isn't right, and maybe the timing will come back around. But let me give you an example of something as a goal of an outcome that didn't transpire the way that I wanted it to, but I just kept rolling. I reinvented my career in 2013 to become a professional speaker, and that career was going along really well, and it continued to go along really well. And I wrote my book, Nice Guys Finish First, and then I put out this podcast. And had my goal been set specifically on the only way I'm going to get from where I was to where I want to be was through professional speaking, I may have missed the opportunity that podcasting had presented it to me. Had I missed that opportunity podcasting had presented to me, I would have missed out on a huge business opportunity, personal relationship with you, because I wouldn't have ever met you had it not been for my relationship in the podcasting world. So all of these things, and I could look back and say, oh, I really did miss out on that great opportunity to become a professional speaker. That was something I really wanted to do. I wasn't married to that outcome. The outcome that I wanted was that trajectory that I needed in my life to get from where I was with my old career to my new career. I didn't necessarily care about how I arrived in that place, though.
Right. You just did what you thought at the time was the next best thing because you didn't know anything else until life presented you an opportunity for
Correct.
you to go, oh, let me try this out. But you followed your intuition. And for those of you that don't know, I'll be announcing it a little bit more as the weeks go on. I've unveiled a mastermind that I have opened up enrollment to. The enrollment will close when either it's filled or come January 15th, whichever comes first. It's limited to 15 people, but it's around the last webinar I did called Building Health and Wealth. It's literally taking that inspiration, that idea of downloads, of inspiration, intuition, non-physical help from your angels, source, God, whatever, universal energy, love, creator, your loved ones that have crossed over, whatever you want to call that, but that infinite intelligence that we have access to that makes it so much easier for, in my opinion, for you to be guided to your next best thing versus those of us that think we have to figure it out on our own, that we don't have any support. So when it comes to following your path, some of you don't even realize your intuition plays a huge role in some of the things that you do. Like today, you were speaking to me and you were being hit by intuition. And a lot of things that you do are intuition based, but I don't think you'd ever would have said that before. You wouldn't have stood back and said, oh, I use intuition to guide my choices, but you do, right?
Well, you have to. And an entrepreneur that is not in touch with themselves or not conscious, let's say, they would call that their gut. They just act upon their gut. You know what feels right. You know what direction you should be going. And you know when you are, there are several times along the way that even when you get good at it, I mean, really good at following your gut, you may have made a bad decision, or you may have made a decision based upon some of your old methodologies. I, for example, am a people pleaser. That's my old school. That's my methodology from past. I am working very hard to get out of that. But some of the decisions that I make are based upon my gut instinct, but I follow sometimes my people pleaser methodology of old. And so at some point, my gut takes back over again and says, you know you're not in the right place, but you have promised this and you need to fulfill this obligation. And several good things still come out of that. It doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, I'm in my old pattern. I still feel like even if I'm in an old pattern, I have the ability to make future decisions that are still going to be beneficial to me, even though I made the decisions based upon my old methodology.
Absolutely. And, with this relationship that we had with this company that promised to already be up and running and have us be speaking and all this good stuff, which we completely, and I definitely felt connected. I felt, I believed. Mm-hmm. I still don't not believe what I think has happened has been other things, but it's not the right time. And it may not even be the right deal. But what I've recognized, and I said this to you when we were on the beach last week, I think what this whole opportunity has done for me is move me to the next level of expectation of my value and of what is possible for me.
And if nothing else, the relationship that you had, the positivity that came out of that, to recognize that it was your benefit of that relationship. So I don't look at that relationship as potential failure. I look at that relationship as an enlightener. You were able to get some sort of download from that said, hey, this is where I need to go from here. And yes, you could look at everything that happens bad in your life, and JJ could have looked at that and said, I've just wasted a year of my life. Woe is me. I can't believe I did that. Get stuck in the negativity of that. Bring you down to the, gosh, I just wasted a year of my life. Or you could say, what did I learn from this? What lesson came from this? Create the lesson, put together some sort of plan to move on. And you did. I mean, you got it when we had a walk last week.
I think I was rollerblading and you were skateboarding.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Exactly.
It always comes when I'm rollerblading. So because I get very clear, and the clarity was, if someone was to say to you, let's go to money for a second. For those of you who have moved up a ladder, so to speak, or if you're in your own business, maybe you've increased your prices. When people value you in a way you haven't been valued before, it moves you to a next level. Now, sometimes you have to value yourself first in order to be able to attract those people. And through my recent evolution over the last, let's say, year, where with Doug's support, definitely, or just his presence with his expansion, I've been able to get to the place where and also with you, the audience, because of the communications that I get, because of the interactions I get in the Manifestation Challenge, the clients that have come out of the work, the events, all of the feedback, when I'm super clear, even when I get negative responses on the podcast, all the positive responses let me know how on point and how in alignment and how powerful what I'm doing is for other people, even when it's free. And so all of that has just elevated me. I mean, really, and it's taken it away from, and when I mean elevated, I don't mean elevated my ego. I mean elevated that this work is not about me. And we all get in our own way a lot of times when we're talking about, for some people, money, because we don't value, and for other people, it's not money. Like for Doug, it's not money, it's time, or it's possibly being valued ahead of time instead of having to prove your worth over time. Like we all have a different way in which it gets manifested in our lives, this lesson of evolving and self-worth. But for a lot of people, it's how much do I charge, or how much do I accept as a salary or as an hourly wage or as an hourly, if you're a healer or a business owner and you say, here's my price. Oftentimes that price is completely reflecting how much you think you're worth. And there are stages and levels. Of course, when you're starting out, you do it a little less because you haven't had any proven success stories yet. So you don't know. But as you grow and progress, I think I've increased my prices 3 times in the last year.
That's great. And I think you should increase them 3 more times.
Right. But the evolution is,
yes.
Is what I'm doing working? Okay. Yes, it's working.
Yes.
Okay. Is what I'm doing valuable at this level? Yes, people are willing to pay that. Okay. Now we're looking at the time I have to give and to, look at my life and my business model and decide how many hours do I have to give and to offer my services. But this whole point of this is to really have you look at where you are right now. And today's topic is about appreciation and how I've gotten here and how I think is the most successful, fastest way to keep elevating and expanding yourself and your self-worth. And then, of course, the manifestation of your self-worth is that whole appreciation of what it is you do, of who you are, of what you're understanding, being an observer in your own life, noticing when things happen and taking the cue and figuring out, so with this situation that we had with this company where I was super excited and because again, I believed in their getting it done now idea and have since taken a huge step back, which at first I was a little irritated by. I won't lie, because I was super invested in the momentum that was created through all of our time spent and conversations and planning and all that good stuff. And so to come out the end and think, what did I just do? And then to reflect back now and get the fact that, wow, you valued me at a level that was new. Now, I value me at that level, but I didn't have to ask for that. I was being offered something at a higher level, a new level for me. And then now I'm like, I agree with you.
You start to believe.
So now I'm there and I don't need you. Now I can hold my own and that level and say, yes, that is what I am worth. And that is what I will now, that's the launching off place for me.
I think where a lot of people tend to gravitate towards and stay in is when they feel that level of appreciation and they are, let's say it's over a fee structure, and let's just say they're charging $75 an hour or whatever that is that they do, and they're like, then they start to have business and business is coming in and they're so appreciative of the business that's coming in, they get stuck in the, oh my God, I can't raise my prices because when I do that, people aren't gonna move with me. They're not gonna move with me. What I have found, and I have a friend, Scott, and I talk about Scott on my show, Nice Guys on Business, all the time. And Scott was at this $25 an hour job, which was great. I appreciate and respected the fact that he was there. But he started to become so busy, but he didn't want to lose any of his customers. He was afraid that if he raised it to $50, he would lose his customers. So I said, Scott, trust me, raise it to $50. You will only have to work half as much as you're working right now, and you'll still be making the same amount of money. So he raised the prices. And you know what happened? He got even busier. And then I said, Scott, it's time to raise it to 75. And he says, oh, I can't raise it to 75. I just got here to 50, and everybody is going to be so upset that I'm raising it to 50. You raised it to 75. And you know what happened? He got more business because he raised it to 75. And I said, Scott, we're going to make a really big move. We're going to go from 75 to $125 an hour. And he said, there is no way I can do that. I said, Scott, trust me. If you go to 125, you only have to work a little bit. You can work half as much, basically half as much, and make the same amount of money. Would that make you happier? He goes, of course. I said, raise it. And he trusted me and he raised it. Now he's working so many hours more than he was at working before, making more money than he's ever made. And I said, Scott, you're working too hard. You need to raise your prices again. And this is where he's stuck right now. I said, you've trusted me every step along the way. You've got to trust me. Raise it again. Until you get to a point where most of your customers are saying, I'm not doing that, or I'm not going to raise my prices, know that your customers appreciate you no matter what you charge. No matter what your hours are, no matter, you could, like, some people get concerned because they might say, I can't work only 3 days a week. I can only work 5 days a week, because what if a customer can't see me on Monday or on Friday? They can only see me on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I'm only working Monday and Friday. What am I supposed to do? I said, they will come and see you. If your service is that much of value to your customers, they will stay with you. And I say that because it's like we don't appreciate ourselves enough. We want to give all of our time to our customers. We want to give all of our time to our family. We want to give all of our time to other people in our lives, and we're not giving enough time to ourselves. And I think we also should learn from this to be more appreciative of our own timing.
Absolutely. And to some of that, for those of you that don't have your own business but don't want all of your practitioners to keep raising their prices, and for those of you that are business owners and you really do feel very called to serve as many people as you can't serve everybody at that level anyway. And so what happens is you need to learn how to scale. And that means that you have a premium price for your time, but you create other ways to reach more people. And there are ways to do that through online programs and through events and through a podcast or through speaking. So know that.
And if you have a service, you do that through bringing somebody else in as an apprentice, and you take a certain level of job, your quality is still marked. I know that your customers love you, but they may not just love you, they may love the service that you offer. And if you train somebody to do exactly what you've done, you can create an apprenticeship program where you're actually making twice as much because you're paying them wholesale, and the person that's working for you is appreciative to be able to work at all with the kind of person that actually appreciates their time.
So I'll just, since we're on this momentum, I'll just continue on with this. If any of this sounds interesting to you and you're curious about my mastermind, which is called the Inner Circle Mastermind, there's about 8 spaces left, I think, right now. And there's a total of 15 of us. So that's going to continue to dwindle down as time goes on here. But the whole premise is to lead from abundance, not scarcity. And the idea of abundance, meaning you have a trust in your path, and that your path is different than someone else's path, and that your path doesn't have to follow this guru or that guru and do what they did. It's about following your path. What is right for you? What is unfolding for you? And you're the only person that's going to know that answer, but you may get in your own way. So it's leading from abundance, not scarcity, which is a practice. A lot of us get into situations. A lot of us get into situations that we haven't been into before, and we fear strikes, or we get triggered because a wound is being brought up to the surface, and then we act out of scarcity. It's a practice to continue coming from trust and abundance, and you need accountability and tools for that. The next guiding principle is to focus on collaboration, not competition, and collaboration from a place, again, of abundance, that there's enough to go around and that the right people will follow you, and you don't want the people who aren't the right people for you because they're a pain in the butt and they're a headache. And those of you in business, you know what I'm talking about. And then the third principle, of course, which is where I come in nice and strong from years of work, is that you want to build wealth without sacrificing your health. You don't want to subscribe to I'm going to kill myself to make money. Who wants to do that? Nobody. No single person would say, yes, if I have the option of making a lot of money but killing myself, you may take it. But if you had the option of making half as much or twice as much as you're making now, but working half as much, you'd take that.
Yes.
Because you'd want the freedom, you'd want the flexibility, you'd want the play time, you'd want the travel time, you'd want the life that you get with freedom.
And you got to know that you are also worthy of that. You have to feel that you're worthy of that. Everybody that's listening to this, you are worthy of being able to charge more and working less. Don't feel like the difference between success and failure is how hard you work. You have the ability to work smarter. You have the ability to scale your business, and there's several things. I love that you guys were just kicking it in the mastermind meeting, and I'm like a little spy listening through the door. I felt like I was in my office, you were in yours, and I was doing something that didn't require me to be on the computer or have a headset on or anything. And I'm listening to your mastermind, and I'm like, I can only hear your side of it, but it's like all of the information was gold. It was great. I would highly encourage you. I don't know. Do you have like any way that people can?
It's really
listen
a
in,
conversation
okay.
because it's not open for just anybody. You'd
Right,
have to be the
right.
right person, and so it needs to have a conversation. So if you're interested, again, there's 8 spaces left, and we are going right now because the deal is if you get in now, you get a couple months for free because you're starting before the official start time, which is the middle of January.
So check this out. So what you're saying is the official start time is not until January. So if you talk to somebody and they are qualified by having a phone call with you and a session with you, you would put them in the group with the promise that they're going to join officially in January.
Well, no, they pay now.
Okay.
It's a 12-month
Got it.
program.
Got it.
And back to that whole like idea of price structure. So and things like that. When I calculated out all that gets put into this group and all the things that I'm sort of promising and including, the value is very high. It's double digit, very high. And but what I'm doing, because I haven't done this before, is actually giving 50% off, and I'm actually making a guarantee. So basically, what I'm saying is the exact investment that you're putting into it, I promise and guarantee you will make. And
well,
if you
that's
don't,
pretty much a no-brainer.
right. Well, because I am unproven in this arena. I am taking my mind, body, soul approach to health and wellness, and I'm adding business and money into this. And so because I'm unproven, I felt comfortable doing it at a lower rate that's half of what it's worth in order for me to get some testimonials, to test it out, to try it out, to see how people do with it. So anyway, if this at all speaks to you, jjflizanes.com, and we can get on a quick call and just see if it's right for you. Because again, it does have to mean you buy into a law of attraction, to abundance, not scarcity, to that abundance and well-being.
You just named everybody in your audience. You just named everybody in your audience. And if you don't have those 8 slots filled in the next 4 weeks, I don't know what you guys are thinking. She's giving you a money-back guarantee. So that's crazy. I mean, I love you, but that's nuts.
I know. I'm a little stressed about that. Like I've already assessed who I already know is going to make that in no time. And then the few that I'm concerned about, I'm like white on rice. I'm like, okay, let's make you money right now because I want to make sure that I've guaranteed and that I come through with this.
Well, that is accountability to the nth degree. And I would encourage anybody that is looking at joining a mastermind. This is the mastermind for you. You've already been listening to our show for years. Some of you have been listening to it for longer than that. Some of you are just tuning in now for the first time. And there is nobody that's out there that is more qualified than JJ. Go back and listen to, I don't know, maybe 300 episodes of her fucking show, and you can determine how much of an expert she is. Go,
Thanks,
baby, go.
Thanks, babe. I'm excited about it. I feel so on point about it because, again, I know that so many people want to build wealth and not sacrifice their health. And no one's really, that I know of, is talking about it or doing it. And it's the whole well-rounded support that you need and accountability in all areas. So I want to circle this back to appreciation because without the constant acknowledgement of the growth and expansion, I wouldn't have been able to get here. And I wouldn't be comfortable in my stepping into this new version. It's like since Doug's come on the scene,
Yahoo, Doug.
I've definitely had momentum that's faster than ever. And while it's not necessarily him,
Let me just say, it is not me. You were poised for this. You just needed some support. That's all you needed. You needed just somebody on your side to say, you can do it. The talent, the skill, I step back and I watch you in action and I see what you do and you're amazing. And I love you for how amazing you are. I appreciate the credit that you want to be able to bestow upon me. I will accept none of it. I will tell you that I'm here to support you as I think any good partner should be here to support. And I just watch you and I am awed and amazed and you are just incredible at it. And I feel the same. I feel like I would not have been able to go anywhere near as far as I've gone in the last year and a half had it not been for our relationship and the support that you've provided. You're a beacon of light in a really, really great time of my life, and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be with you. So I appreciate and I'm thankful and I'm grateful for you, JJ Flizanes.
Thank you, Doug Sandler. I will say, those of you that are listening that don't have this kind of partnership, because I understand, I was there, but I still grew within that. And I want to empower you and remind you that even if you have a partner who is afraid of your light or someone who doesn't understand what you're doing or actually is even trying to pull you down because they're afraid of your light, know that in that situation, you still have the ability to grow. You still have the ability to tap into your intuition. I was not with Doug when I decided to do Releasing What Weighs You Down the first time. I could not deny the call to grow when all of you were emailing me about the power of the show, when I was feeling so called to want to bring you an in-person live workshop where we could actually do this work and actually change our physical, chemical, energetic blueprint to release what isn't working for you and to move forward. I could not deny it any longer. It scared the shit out of me. I did not feel qualified. In some ways, I knew I had the skills to do it, but I was worried about the judgment I was going to get from other people, especially those closest to me, because who am I? I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a clairvoyant healer. So who am I to step into this? But I did it.
I've known plenty of licensed, certified, and qualified, or people that consider themselves qualified that aren't qualified. So I would say just the exact opposite. A diploma on a wall or a certification does not necessarily mean expert or someone that is proficient at the skill set that you are proficient in. So booyah to you.
Well, thank you. And I think that's why I'm sharing this with you. And I hope all of you can hear that I'm sharing this with you to evaluate your own situation and where you discredit yourself, or you say, I'm not good enough or qualified enough or smart enough or whatever to charge this, do this, take on this project, when you are, and you're the only one that can determine that. My first coach, when I decided to sort of do more coaching style things, I said to her, and I love her, I said, which coaching certification should I do? And she said, you don't need one. Just be you. And I said, but don't I need a certification to prove that I know what to do? She goes, you know what to do. Just do it. And then my last therapist kicked me out. And literally she said, you know what to do. Go away. You don't need therapy. And I'm like, but I like you and I want to keep coming. Go away. You don't need me. I love you. Go away. I'm like, okay. So it wasn't that I loved therapy and I loved this therapist, but she literally kicked me out. So if you are holding yourself back because you keep saying your conditions are such that you can't do something, I just want to challenge you on that, because I started this momentum well before I ever met Doug. And I stepped into things in a scary way, kind of unsupported by those around me. The only people who were supporting me were you. Those of you listening to this right now, you were the only ones supporting me. And then my higher power, my intuitive self, my infinite intelligence, my connection to source is what propelled me. So I just want you to use your appreciation practice, your gratitude practice on a regular basis. One of the things that most powerful things for me that I've not been doing as much as I would like to be is my journal, is my list of positive aspects every night before bed that I was doing before. And I'm now not doing as much, but I will get back to it. But that in itself kept me in a state of gratitude and appreciation.
What do you say to the person that's listening to this right now that's saying, well, it's easy for you, JJ. You have a very supportive environment now, or at least you have Doug, who's very supportive. I don't have anyone that's, as a matter of fact, it's not that I don't have that. I have just the opposite. I have people in my life that are holding me back. My mother-in-law is holding me back. My husband is holding me back. My wife is holding me back. My kids, I love my kids, but they need me. What do you say to that?
I would ask, why haven't you come to an event or called me or joined the Manifestation Challenge or tapped into this community? Because this community is a safe space for people, like-minded people who study this work, to get support from people who want to support you doing this work. You've heard, I'm going to tell a funny story, and I know she'll be okay with me sharing this. So Crystal Weirich was on the show right before the boot camp or after the boot camp for you guys. And she is a part of the mastermind group. She's been a client for a while. She's been to 3 events. She started her own company called Healing Crystal. She's selling homemade soaps and bath bombs and all kinds of tinctures and lotions. Her lotions are amazing. And yes, shout out Crystal. We do appreciation calls. She's in the mastermind group. And, I think on that show we did, the show was actually called Listener Spotlight with Crystal. And we told the story about her mom and how, in the beginning, her mother was, didn't understand why she was going to California and what are you doing and why are you leaving your boys? And there was a guilt trip involved. And three events later, a year later, the next Releasing Weighs You Down is coming. And her mother is all of a sudden saying, you should take your sister with you. Oh, are you going to that event in California? Maybe you should talk to your sisters. Oh, you know what? Why don't you take your cousin with you? Oh, and your husband should really go with you too. Okay. So I just want to encourage you that when you find your community somewhere else and you start to shift and change.
We were talking about you yesterday, Crystal.
You literally emanate out a new way of being where others respond differently, and you will be surprised about how many people shift, not because you're telling them to, not because you're yelling at them to, not because you're guilt tripping them to come to support you. You support you by taking the action you need to take for you. And you watch people around you, they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to go away because they can't handle transformation and it scares them, or they're going to gravitate towards you and like what they see, and then they're going to get on board.
And don't fight them. Don't fight them if they're against you. Not against you. If they're just not on board with you. If they're not on board with you, that's their problem. You're never going to change anyone. They have to change themselves. What is it? It's an inside job. What is that expression? Changing yourself. What is it? How does it go? We heard Michael Beckwith always says that something is an inside job.
I say happiness is an inside job, but
happiness is an inside job.
That's from Abraham though.
Oh, okay.
Your alignment is an inside job. Happiness is an inside job. You are the creator of your own reality. Like it is you and you and you and you.
Yeah, just don't worry about them. They will come along or they won't. And either way, they were going to be that person anyway. So why you have to work so hard? Work on you and the rest will come.
And let's circle back to the end here to the how we use appreciation. I'm going to challenge you to, if you have these situations you can't get out from under in your mind, you're so addicted to the story about other people holding you down, why not take an appreciation practice and appreciate them for what they do, for who they are to you, for how they motivate you. A client that you'll hear from soon on the show. You've heard me talk about him. He hears me talk about him all the time. He said to me today in our training session, because we're getting ready to record the episode, he said, "Oh, I hear you talk about me on the show." And I said, "But Greg, you're a success story now." And he said, "And I feel very good about that." I said, "You and your brother have been such great," and several other of my clients that I have had long term before I ever started the podcast. You guys have been such great motivators for me in terms of information I want to give other people so they can, you're not listening to me, so I can use this information to people who actually are listening and do want this information versus the ones that are resisting it. So I challenge you to use the appreciation practices with the things that you don't like in your life and see if you can't switch that conversation to maybe you don't like 10 things about the person or what they do. Try to click into this frequency of what you can appreciate about them and see if your situation changes.
And the other thing you can do is just if it takes motivating you to say these words, just prove them wrong. Just do it well. Watch yourself soar. It's not like they're going to pull you back down. And once you're soaring, there's no way you're going to be pulled back down. You'll prove them wrong by being successful, whether that's financially or with your relationships or any other aspect of your life. Prove them wrong, and that will be the best way to do it.
I'm actually trying to give you the tools that Gandhi talks about, which is be the change you want to see in the world. This is how you do it. You don't do it by telling everyone else to be the change they want to see in the world. You do it by actually being it, right? Like it's not just a meme that you share to inspire others to change their behavior. You actually start with you and don't even care what everybody else is doing. You just worry about you. And you take the clues and the cues from what life is showing you're attracting, and then you figure out how to get above it and through it and beyond it and with it in a way that feels good, that you can appreciate, even if it's the slightest, smallest little thing. And if you just focus on that slightest, smallest thing, I promise the emanation energetically from that will shift that around you.
Namaste.
Be the change you want to see in the world. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. We love you all. Thank you for listening. Keep listening. Please, please, please keep listening. Rate and review on iTunes, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. Join JJ's Mastermind. Love you.
No, seriously. I love what you just said. I would like to end the show, though, myself today.
Oh, of course.
And just really give another thank you. Without you, I would not be here. So it is because of the work we're doing together, the information that has inspired me to be everything I want to be, and it moves me, that means something to me, the work that I selfishly actually didn't do for anybody else. But those of you said, hey, I like that. I want that. Hey, that works. Can you give me more of that? And when we started co-creating together, those of you that have been listening to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy from the beginning, it's because of you that I'm expanding at the rate that I am. And I hope that those of you that don't reach out as much as those of you that do, that you're also expanding too, and that you're taking this work to the next level, and that you're really living the life you want to be living, at least part of the time, while you're figuring out the rest and expanding into that frequency where you can step into that next phase of your life. But I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. The show will be changing in that we're going to drop down to one free podcast a week starting next week. If the mastermind is something that you think is completely out of your price range, you're not in a business, and you don't have any desire to be writing a book or starting a podcast or working on a side venture, there's the Inner Circle membership, which is $9.99 a month, and you are welcome to join that, where we're going to go deeper on so many different subjects. We're going to go deeper on law of attraction. We're going to go deeper on individual properties of essential oils and different kind of homeopathic and flower essence remedies and natural healings, and more relationship stuff with me and Doug, and more healing and self-healing tools that I've used on myself. So we're going to go deep. It's going to be great. Again, $9.99 a month, and it even includes a once a month group coaching call. Once a month, live group coaching call. And it's first come, first serve. The first people that are there are the ones that get their questions answered. And those of you that want to submit questions, we can handle those either on the Inner Circle membership podcast episodes, or we can do it, if there's time, on those live group coachings. You're also going to get 3 private manifestation challenges next year. So that's just for Inner Circle members, and there's going to be a lot more live coaching during those 3 manifestation challenges just for Inner Circle. So there's something for everybody. Again, $9.99 a month for that one. It's the cheapest thing I have, well, besides free. And I'm hoping that you, again, even just doing the $9.99 a month puts you in an inner circle, puts you inside a group of very committed people who want to help you, who want to be with you, want to grow with you, want to watch you expand, want to celebrate you, and want to do the work. So I invite you to consider the Inner Circle membership. And what you can do is click the link below to do a 7-day free trial. It's in the show notes. And I hope to see you on the inside of the Inner Circle. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm so grateful and appreciative for every single one of you. Thank you.